How's it going, everyone? My name is Roshan C. Evans. Thank you once again for tuning in to my YouTube channel, Roshan's Journey. We are back. We're going to go over it's a case review. We're going to be going over a few files, but on this particular video, we're going to go over the evaluation plan from my case. But before we go through anything, for those of you that's just tuning in, I'm going to give you a little bit of why we are here, which is on my previous video, to tell you how I got here. I was sucked into the system when I was a kid, behind a situation that I don't believe should have affected me, but it has, in a way that has traveled with me for over half my life now, and probably will continue to travel with me for the rest of my time here on Earth. And what I'm hoping for is some changes, some law changes, when it comes to particular charges, that people actually really look into it. And I'm hoping to change, well, what I wish to change outside of policies, laws that affect people for the remainder of their life is, I want people that have the power to assist people in particular ways or inflict particular pains on people, like prosecutors. I want them to have a different agenda. An agenda that I would wish a prosecutor would have will be more of a not trying to particularly win every case because they are a prosecutor, but yet doing what's right in every case. So for cases that should not be sitting on their desk or should be in front of them, I just wish one day that they would actually look into cases and say, this case shouldn't be here, and get rid of it, for the cases that shouldn't be there. Because every case that come across your desk don't mean somebody's guilty of a crime. Just because someone's getting accused of something don't mean they're actually guilty. Or just because someone don't have the money to pay for the proper defense don't make them automatically guilty of a crime. So it's going to take people who have power to do what's right instead of just doing what they want to do for their own personal gain. So I went over my story on the last video. This video, we're going to go over case number 00-005-992-FH, which is the evaluation plan. This here is the investigation report. This is the paperwork that was written up from, I believe, the prosecuting attorney on the case. It says the writer, so I'm assuming it was the prosecutor. The next videos we will go over, we're going to do one on the charges, the different charges I was going through. We're going to do my sentencing, when I was sentenced without an actual sentence, so I accepted a plea deal with no sentence guidelines. We're going to go through that transcript. We're going to go through the sentencing guidelines of what they actually gave me after I accepted a plea deal in order to avoid 15 years in prison. And then I have a surprise packet, which is going to be probably my last video, maybe, in regards to this case review. And again, stories like mine's, it's hard to talk about, one, but I feel the need to put my story out because I'm not the only one that's been affected in a particular way by the judicial system or particular people around me that I could Couldn't never imagine that I would go through something like this because of a lie, or somebody trying to avoid the truth from coming out, or people trying to just not get in trouble, or people just trying to win a case, or because of racism, or whatever the case may have been. All the different levels of as to the reason why I'm here. I'm not the only one, so I'm gonna go through this case, and I'm gonna read this investigative report word from word. When I get finished reading this investigative report word from word, I'm gonna go through a few things that I've highlighted. Now, again, I must mention before I go through this investigative report, I'm gonna give you a brief recap of what's going on here for those of you that's first time tuning in and you coming in on the evaluation plan. But at the age of 17, I was in a situation to where I ended up hanging out with a female that snuck out of her home, and I had no idea, snuck out of her home until I don't know when I realized she snuck out of her home, but it was a long time after the situation took place I realized that she snuck out of her home. But it was still a lot that I did not realize, and the things that I didn't realize was the stories that was told to the prosecutor, the mother, the sergeant, and who said what, and it's just mind-blowing. So enough of that. Let's go ahead and go through this investigative report. Since I've been 17 years old, I've been telling people how, that, well, let's get into it. So the evaluation plan, case number 00-05992-FH. Now, I'm going to read this to you word from word, and then I'm going to go back and recap on things that I figured out, later, because a lot of this stuff I didn't know until I was old and grown. So I'm going to give you the things that is straight up bold-faced lies. But again, this is just my version of the story that I've been saying since I've been 17 years old. I've been saying the same thing since I've been 17. And if you want the other half of the story, please talk to the other party that was involved so you can get the other half of the story. Before the court for sentencing on his first conviction of any kind stands Roshan Kawande Evans. This offense involves the defendant having non-consensual intercourse with a 15-year-old Latish. The defendant was 17 years of age. I was 17. There are positive factors to consider. The defendant is employed at McDonald's and Ponderosa. He denies use of alcohol or illegal substances. The defendant does not have any children. There are also negative factors. Mr. Evans indicated during his pre-sentence interview that he was attending classes at Mott Adult High School. However, it was later discovered by this writer, I believe it's the prosecutor, that he had been expelled approximately 2 weeks prior to the pre-sentencing interview. He will not be able to return. He had been expelled from the Flint public schools while attending Southwestern Academy due to involvement in a fight. He also had an 18-inch knife in his backpack. Mr. Evans is presently living with a 21-year-old maternal uncle and his girlfriend. It is unknown why he doesn't live with his mother. I was unable to get a clear understanding from either the defendant or his uncle. The defendant's mother did not return calls. Mr. Evans previously lived with Joe Johnson, his former wrestling coach. He lived with Mr. Johnson from January of 2000 until March of 2000. He was asked to leave the home because he hit Mr. Johnson's 16-year-old son in the head with a telephone. Mr. Johnson also informed this writer, and I'm thinking it's the prosecutor, let's say writer, that the defendant and a friend assaulted his son again on May 10th, 2000. A complaint was made with Officer Cheney, the school police liaison at Flint Southwestern Academy, by Mr. Johnson. The defendant does not accept responsibility for his offense, stating that the sex was consensual. He feels that Miss English made up the story so she would not get in trouble for being out late. It is felt that Mr. Evans can be supervised in the community. However, the prognosis is extremely guarded due to his dishonesty, questionable future, education, opportunities, and continued assaultive behavior. His supervision must be closely monitored, and it is felt that he needs specific direction and accountability. Therefore, it is the recommendation of the Michigan Department of Corrections that Mr. Evans will be sentenced to 3 years probation with completion of boot camp and aftercare. Mr. Evans should order to complete his GED or high school diploma, complete sex offender treatment, and maintain full employment. Supervision fees are assessed at $10 per month for a total of $360 a year. It is hoped that Mr. Evans will take full advantage of this opportunity to change the direction of his life he's headed. In order to make the defendant eligible for boot camp program due to low sentencing guidelines, the court needs to state on record that if we're not for boot camp, the court will impose Michigan Department of Corrections incarceration. Okay, now, from that, so I'm going to go back to the beginning. Again, this is case 00-05992FH, evaluation plan. The beginning paragraph states, before the court for sentencing on his first conviction of any kind stands Roshan Kawande Evans. This offense involves the defendant having non-consensual intercourse with a 15-year-old. And I'm going to withhold the last name. For the last name, just go to the open records and pull the case number because this is public information. But since she was underage, I'm not going to give you any last names. But it's 00-05. Matter of fact, I'm going to bleep her name out. For her name, just go to the case number. 00-05992-FH, but I would highly recommend you speak to the other half because this is just my side of the story with courtroom records and facts. So let's say the offense involves the defendant having non-consensual sexual intercourse with a 15-year-old. The defendant was 17. So I must say, I was 17 years old. Me and the young lady is 1 year and 4 months apart, so we are peers. Her birthday was in a few more weeks, in which she would have turned 16, and I did not have any sexual intercourse with her because I could not get an erection. I've been saying that since I've been 17 years old. I wrote a 16-page paper that I have no idea where it is, stating that we never ever in life had sexual intercourse, but we attempted, but yet my attempts went south because I couldn't get an erection. We ended up putting our clothes back on, and she had consensual sex with another male in the house. I've been saying this since I've been 17. But, again, it's here, says that I had sexual intercourse, non-consensual sexual intercourse. Now, where did they get this from? We about to figure it out. And then I'm going to go down here to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs down. And 5 paragraphs down, it says, the defendant, which is me, does not accept responsibility for this offense, stating that the sex was consensual. He feels that Miss English made up the story so she would not get in trouble for being out late. Now, when I read this question here, I'm trying to figure out, because I didn't speak to anybody except my lawyer, and I wrote my 16-page statement when I talked to the Sergeant Timms, or Sims, that was on the case. And my 16-page statement, again, I told them everything that happened from the beginning to the end, which nothing happened. I told them how when I was on my way to pick up the young lady, she called me before we got to the house to tell me to meet her at the corner and do not come to her home. I also told them that as soon as she got in the vehicle, she immediately went in my pants and began to touch me as I touched her. So we was touching each other. I also stated that when we got to the house and we were in the back seat getting chauffeured by some of my older friends, I also told them in a 16-page paper that when we got to the house, she went inside the house where it was other people in the house, and we stayed outside talking and congregating for a moment. And by the time me and my friends, 2 other friends, walked in the house, I couldn't find LaToya. Like, I looked around and didn't see her. I also told them when I asked for her, they told me she was upstairs, and that when I went upstairs, she was in my room, butt naked, under the covers. I also told them that I did the same thing by taking my clothes off, getting in the bed with her, attempting to do what we wanted to do, and I couldn't because I couldn't get an erection. So I tried multiple times to get it hard enough, and I just couldn't do it. The only thing I could do was ejaculate. I only can get it hard enough to actually ejaculate on the floor where her coat was. And obviously some of my semen must have gotten on her coat. But I told them this on my 16-page paper, and we put our clothes back on and went downstairs, and she started talking to someone at the bottom of the stairs, back and forth, whispering in each other's ear, laughing and joking. And they was looking at me, and then they ended up going back upstairs and doing whatever they wanted to do with whomever, and I didn't go back up there because I had my shot and I couldn't. But this paragraph states, I do not accept responsibility for the offense, stating that the sex was consensual. So it's like, if anything was not consensual, I would know that it's non-consensual. If anybody tell you no or to stop, you know if you taking something from somebody. So there is nothing anybody can feel. It's like it is or it's not. It's either you done something or you didn't. And it say, the defendant does not accept responsibility for his offense, stating that the sex was consensual. So if I'm stating it's consensual, and first of all, we didn't have sex. I said we touched each other because that's what we did. We mutually touched each other. He feels that she made up the story so she wouldn't get in trouble. How could anybody feel somebody made up the story so they didn't get in trouble? It's either it happened or it did not happen. It's either somebody got raped or they did not get raped. And that's one of my first questions that I pulled out. Now I'm gonna let's go through the second page. And we still on case number 00-05992-FH. And again, for the other half of the story, I would highly recommend you talk to the other party. But it says, on Friday, December 24th, 1999, at 3 o'clock in the morning, Flint police officers were dispatched to Hurley Medical Center emergency room in reference to criminal sexual conduct report. Upon arrival, officers spoke to LaToya's date of birth, January 24th, 1984. My birthday is May 28th, 1982. Her birthday is January 24th, 1984. We are 1 year and 4 months apart. She stated that Roshan Evans called her home approximately 1:20, asking her to go outside the house. She stated that she went outside to talk with the defendant and another unidentified 18-year-old male. The two men were in a burgundy Explorer. Latoya stated that she got into the vehicle and the defendant and the other man and drove to a white house in the 2800 block of Gibson. Latoya went to tell the officers that the defendant told her to go upstairs, which she did. The defendant then took her clothes off and set her down. It stated that she told the defendant that she did not want to do it. The defendant then laid on top of her and penetrated her vagina with his penis. She stated that she attempted to push him off her, telling him to stop. It stated that the defendant, continued to lay on top of her when she noticed that there were other people laying on the floor in front of the bed. The other people then left the room as the defendant continued to penetrate her. It stated that she asked him several times to stop. The defendant then said, "You should go ahead and let me bust now. I am almost finished." Latoya stated that she told him to stop again, telling him that it hurt. The defendant then ejaculated on her coat and began walking around the room, telling her to hurry up and get dressed. Latoya stated that the defendant then left the room, and she put her clothes on and sat on the stairs. Latoya stated that another unidentified male, approximately 18 years old, told her that she was not going home unless she engaged in sexual activity with at least one of them. Latoya stated that he told her, "Come on, you could have been home by now." He then told her that he only needed 3 minutes and grabbed her arm. Pulling her upstairs, it stated that the man took his pants off and put on a condom. It stated that she did not want to have sex with him, and he then told her that he wasn't going to take her home unless she did. She stated that she took off her clothes and sat on the bed next to him, stating that she did not want to do anything with him. She told him it's Christmas and asked him not to do it. At that time, another unidentified 19-year-old male came into the room and asked if he had done anything yet. He responded, "No, my dick won't get hard." She stated that the first man then stood at the wall and began fondling himself, asking her to fondle him as well. She stated she refused to touch him. He then said, "Forget it," and they walked out. She stated that she put her clothes back on and went downstairs. Then went on to tell the officer that there were several other unidentified males in the home when she came downstairs. She stated that she sat on the couch approximately 10 minutes and could hear loud whispering and laughing coming from upstairs. Finally, the defendant and one of the other men took her home in a white Prism. Officers were then dispatched to the address at 2814 Gibson and spoke to Darnell Jones. He indicated that he had arrived at the home approximately 2:30 a.m. and had no idea what happened prior to his arrival. Mr. Jones stated Latoya was sitting on the couch when he came in the home. The officers checked the house for additional subjects with negative results. The case was subsequently reassigned to Sergeant Carol Sims. Sergeant Sims spoke to his mother, Lois English. Miss English indicated that her daughter had gone outside the home on December 24th, 1999 between 1:30 a.m. and 1:47 a.m. Miss English stated that she had told her daughter to stay in the yard and had told her that Mr. Evans was going to walk over to the house. Miss English stated that she went outside at 1:47 a.m. to tell her daughter to come inside and realized that Latoya was gone. She stated that she got into her car and started circling the blocks looking for Latoya. She then returned home. Approximately 3:45 a.m. in the morning, Latoya's hair was messed up and torn apart. At that time, she asked her daughter, "Did that boy rape you?" She told her yes, and informed her mother that the defendant had asked her to go with him to get a bite to eat and that he wanted to show her his house. Upon further interview with she informed Sergeant Sims that when she got into the room with the defendant, she stated she wanted to have sex with him. However, changed her mind. She told Sergeant Sims that she did not feel like this was a rape because she felt responsible. His mother interjects and indicated to Sergeant Sims that she want to pursue a complaint and advised Sergeant Sims that her daughter would testify against the defendant and anyone else who was responsible for what happened. Okay, now I'm going to go back. I have a few things highlighted. The very first paragraph on the agent's description offense, it says on December 24th, 1999, at 3 o'clock in the morning, Flint police officers were dispatched to Hurley Medical Center room in reference to criminal sexual conduct in the 4th degree. On the very next page, it say they were dispatched to Hurley at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, this report is sloppy and it's put together very sloppy, and it's so many inconsistencies. And if you're a lawyer, I hope that you can see this. And if you're not a lawyer, I hope you can see this as well. But Flint police was dispatched to Hurley Medical Center at 3 o'clock in the morning. But when you go to the second page, it say at approximately 3:45 in the morning, Latoya came to the house. So, first of all, she went to Hurley, obviously. But what time did she actually go? Because the police can't be dispatched to Hurley at 3 o'clock in the morning, but yet she even came home until 3:45 in the morning. Okay, it say Latoya. So, reading this report, you know, I still have questions as to what actually happened and how this report got put together, because I wrote a 16-page statement stating everything that happened from the beginning to the end, and how this girl called me, told me don't come to her house and to meet her at the corner, and how she got in the vehicle, immediately began touching me, and I touched her, and we attempted to have sex back at the place, but I couldn't get an erection. I told them that she had sex with another male, but my question is, going through this report, like, okay, told officers that the defendant told her to go upstairs. I never told her to go upstairs. When I picked her up, she went in the house before I did, and when I went in the house, she was nowhere to be found, and I found her upstairs because they told me she was upstairs, and she was in my room butt naked under the covers, and I did the same exact thing. So there was no me telling her to come upstairs with me and me taking her clothes off and me laying on top of her. She was already upstairs in my bed, butt naked. And I did the same thing, and I lifted up the covers. When I seen she was naked, I took my clothes off, and we attempted to do what we do when I couldn't do it because I couldn't get an erection. I said that in my 16-page statement. Been saying that since I've been 17 years old. But yet, this report is written somewhat in the way of the way things was happening, but yet it's twisted and it's stuff added. Lawyer stated another unidentified male, approximately 18 years old, told her she was not going home unless she engaged in sexual activity with at least one of them. She was talking back and forth at the bottom of the stairs with another male with the same name almost as mine. Literally, we got 2 letters different in our name. My name is Roshan, and his name is literally almost the same as mine. But there was no taking anything from anybody. Like, she came over to the house because this is what she wanted, and they did what they wanted to do because I couldn't do it for her. But nobody raped or took anything from this girl. But I'm gonna go to this page here. It says, and this part really gets me. The mama indicates that her daughter had gone outside the home on December 24th, 1999 between 1:30 and 1:47. 17-minute gap. Now, you 15 years old, and your mama letting you go outside at 1:30 in the morning to meet a guy, first of all. Like, I didn't live with my mama, so, I did what I wanted to do, as far as leaving and coming back. But Miss English, the mama, stated that she told her daughter to stay in the yard. And had told her that Mr. Evans was going to walk over to the house. I called and asked her, can she get out? She told me yes. She gave me the address to go pick her up. She knew that we was coming to pick her up. I had no idea that her mama told her to stay in the front yard. Her mama told her, do not leave the front yard. Before we made it to her home, she called my cell phone and told me, do not come to my house. Meet me at the corner. I had no idea that she was sneaking out of the house. I had no idea that her mama told her to stay in the front yard. But her mama told her to stay in the front yard. She said, okay. She said that I was walking over to her home, but she knew we was picking her up in a vehicle. I didn't even stay walking distance. So she calls me, tell me not to come to her home, meet her at the corner. We pick her up. As soon as she get in the vehicle, the first thing she do, she didn't say hi, we didn't kiss, it wasn't none of that. She immediately went straight in my pants and began to touch me. I did the same thing. So Miss English indicated, her mama indicates that she told her daughter, do not leave the front yard. Within 17 minutes, her daughter was gone. So then it says, Miss English stated she went outside at 1:47, 17 minutes later, to tell her daughter to come in the house and realize her daughter was gone. 17 minutes her daughter was gone. That's because she left with us and she told me not to come to her home. Okay, at approximately 3:45, she came in the house with her hair and her eyes wide. Now I'm gonna back up. So when we was on the way up, when she called me and told me not to come to her house and to meet her at the corner, I told her we are almost there, and I told her to come on. She got in the car. We immediately started touching each other. We went back to the place. We tried to do what we wanted to do, which was be adults when no adults was around. I couldn't, because I couldn't get an erection. And yet she used another male in the home for what she wanted. When she came back downstairs, her mama was calling my cell phone, and I wasn't going to answer. It wasn't my mama. I took the phone to the girl. The girl didn't want to answer. The mama kept calling and calling and calling and calling, and this girl didn't want to answer. You know, like, you could tell was a little concern on her face when her mama kept calling, but I didn't ask her anything about it. It's not my mama. It's like, this is something she have to deal with. By the time her mama stopped calling and the girl said, okay, I'm ready, and take me home, when we took her home, the first thing she said when we almost got to her house was, do not take me to my house. Drop me back off at the same corner you picked me up from. Again, not my problem. I don't care. You know, like, I'm 17 years old. It's like, whatever you got going on, you got going on. I didn't think it would affect me, whatever she had going on in her home. So we dropped her off at the corner. No big deal. Whatever. I didn't even know, like, you didn't tell me you were sneaking out the house to come see me. I'd have told you to stay at home. So we drop her off at the corner, and instead of going to her house, she goes in a whole nother direction. So I don't know where she went, how long it took her to actually go home, or what she did. But when we dropped her off, we went back to the place, and then from the place we went back to one of the guys' grandparents' home, because it was Christmas time, and their mom had just got out of prison, and they wanted to cook her Christmas dinner. So it's at approximately 3:45 a.m. came into the house. Her eyes were watering. Miss English stated that her daughter's hair was messed up and torn. I'm assuming that when it's saying torn, that they mean her clothes was torn, because I don't think her hair would be torn. Or unless that's some kind of word to say her hair was really, really messed up. At that time, she asked her daughter, did that boy rape you? Why would this be your first question? Did that boy rape you? How was that your first question? Did that boy rape you? The first question when you walk in a house, after you told your daughter not to leave the front yard, and you look outside, 17 minutes later, you in your car circling the neighborhood. So within probably 15, 10, or immediately your daughter was gone as soon as she walked outside because she snuck away. Why is the first question you ask is, did that boy rape you? And then told her mama yes, and informed her mother that the defendant had asked her to go with him to get a bite to eat, and that he wanted to show her his house. We ain't gonna get nothing to eat. Wasn't nobody going to get nothing to eat. Reading this, it shows me that this girl knew she was in trouble, and she was trying to do anything she could to get out of trouble, and this was the best she can come up with. I don't quite think that the young lady thought that it would fall back on me the way it fell back on me. I think she was really just trying to avoid punishment. And I'm going to throw something else in there real quick. So, this young lady, I actually used to go to my auntie's church, and they used to go to my auntie's church way back in the day. I didn't even realize that this was the young lady until my cousin told me a few years later. But her mom used to be in front of the church literally every day that there was a church service. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, whatever day we went to church, her mama will be the one in front of the church every single time with some kind of family problem that she trying to deal with in the household. You know, this is a mother that made another one of my friends, a young lady that was dating one of her sons, fill out a contract before she can date him, asking questions, legitimate questions, I must say, but it's highly strange that this lady had a 9th grader, 10th grader maybe, fill out a contract before she dated her son, talking about how many sexual partners have you had? Have you ever had an STD? Have you ever been pregnant? You know, things like that. But I'm just trying to say things are not all the way there, But approximately 3:45, came into the house with her eyes watering. Looked, her daughter's hair was messed up and torn apart. At that time, she asked her daughter, "Did that boy rape you?" The first question she asked her daughter. "Did that boy rape you?" She told her yes, and informed her that the defendant had asked her to go with him to get a bite to eat, and that I wanted to show her my house. I didn't have a house. I stayed with somebody else. I wasn't taking that girl out to get nothing to eat. I called her to ask her, can she get out? She said yes. Her mama told her to stay in the front yard. She chose to sneak out. She knew what she was doing before she done it. And then she got caught doing it and then put the blame on me. Upon further interview with her, she informed Sergeant Sims that when she got into the room with the defendant, she stated she wanted to have sex with him, however changed her mind. This girl snuck away from the house to have sex. She just said it. She didn't say she snuck away from the house, but she wanted to have sex. So what she did was she snuck away from the house to have sex. She told her mama that I was walking to her house, but she knew we was picking her up. She snuck away from the house to have sex. She informed the sergeant that she wanted to have sex, however, changed her mind. She told Sergeant Sims that she did not feel like it was a rape because she felt responsible. No. She didn't feel like it was a rape because it wasn't a rape. Now, reading this, it tells me that she knew she was in trouble with her mama. And she was trying to get out of trouble with her mama. But I don't think, again, that she thought that this would affect me the way that it affected me. I don't think that she thought that it was that serious until it actually got serious. And then when it really got serious, I think it was too serious for her to back out. Because now you really got police involved. I don't think that she thought this through and thought that this would actually come to this. But when it did, it's like, how do you get out of it? How do you say, you know what, I'm sorry? Now she's in a position to where all she want to do is not get in trouble again. But yet she don't want me to get in trouble. If somebody rape you, I don't care. You're not going to try to get them out of trouble. The thing is, it didn't happen. And this was something she used to not get beaten by her mama. His mother interjects. So let me back up. Inform the sergeant. She got into the room with the defendant and wanted to have sex. However, changed her mind. She had told the Sergeant Sims that she didn't feel like it was a rape because she felt responsible. Toya's mother interjects and saying she wants to pursue a complaint and advise the sergeant that he would testify against me and anyone else who was responsible. There was no way getting out of this except telling the truth. And she couldn't. She couldn't stand up to her mama. She did not want to be embarrassed. She didn't want to embarrass her mama, and she did not want to get a beating. If she would embarrass her mama, and I know these people, her mama probably would have killed her. So, I want to bring a few other things to light on this report. This report don't talk about anything that I say. This report don't reference my 16-page paper that I wrote, which I told them in my 16-page paper nothing happened because it didn't. I told them how we picked her up. I told them how she told me not to come to her house, meet her at the corner. I told them how we mutually touched each other. I told them how we attempted to have sex and I couldn't get an erection. I told them how she had conversations with somebody else in the house and went upstairs and had consensual sex with them. I told them how, when it was time for her to go home, when she was ready, that she told us not to drop her off at the house, and she said drop her back off at the corner. I told them all this. But yet, nowhere in this investigative report it talks about anything I said, and everything that they put in here is saying how they believe I feel. How do you believe what I feel? How do you think what I feel? What did I say? Where is my statements? The only thing that's in this report is coming from pretty much her mama and the daughter. And when you look into this report, you see who pressing the issue, which is the mama, and you see the daughter again telling her mama something in order to get out of something that she put herself into from disobeying her mama, and you also see her trying to protect me. It just didn't work out that way. Last but not least, it's the defendant. Now this is the defendant version offense report. So this is a defendant version offense report. Now this should come from me. Defendant, me. Report. On the defendant report, it I decline to fill out a written version of this offense for this report. He did, however, state he wrote out a version which was subsequent requested by Sergeant Sims during her investigation of the case. Mr. Evans indicated that he had sexual intercourse with Latoya, stated that the contact was consensual. The defendant indicated that he had known the victim for a couple of years. I never declined to write a statement. I wrote a 16-page statement telling them every single thing that happened. And yet, they say I declined to write about what happened, but yet on the very next sentence say that I wrote they don't say 16 page, but they say I wrote a statement and gave it to Sergeant Sims, the investigator. So, regardless if they got a written statement on a different piece of paper or not, or the paper they wanted me to write it on, which I would have wrote it if they would have asked me, but they saying I didn't write a written statement, and then on the next sentence say I wrote a written statement and gave it to the sergeant. So if I wrote a statement and gave it to the sergeant, and I've been talking about the 16-page statement that I've written for years now, where is it? Where is my written statement? Why is it not a part of this packet? And why instead does it say I refuse to fill out or write down a written statement on one sentence, and the very next sentence say that I wrote a written statement and gave it to the sergeant? Where is my written statement? So they just gonna ignore everything that I'm talking about, because everything that I'm talking about don't go along with how they want to charge me or what they want to charge me for. Like, where's my written statement? The defendant declined to fill out a written version of the offense report. He did, however, state he wrote out a version which was requested by Sergeant Sims during the investigative case. So they acknowledge that I wrote a written statement, but where is it? Where's my words in regards to this whole situation? They took it out. And I've been saying the same thing I'm saying on this video when I was 17 years old, which nothing happened at all. Mr. Evans indicated that he had sexual intercourse with I indicated that we had sexual intercourse. On my 16-page paper, I told them we did not have sex at all. Never in life. Not once. On my paper, I told them that we mutually touched each other and attempted to have sex and I couldn't gain an erection in my 16-page paper. But they take out my 16-page paper and say I indicated that we had sexual intercourse, but it was consensual. No. We never had sex in life. Not once have we ever had sex in life. The defendant indicated that he had known the victim for a couple years. They took out everything that I said about what happened. They ignored everything I said. They took out my written statement, acknowledged that I wrote it, but won't add it to the file. And my question is why? Why would you take out my written statement? Would my written statement exonerate me? I mean, I've been saying the same thing since I've been 17. And nothing happened. But yet, here I am, over 20 years, still dealing with the same situation. So, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. When we come back, we're going to go through the charges, the different charges that they were charging me with due to being in a position dealing with an angry parent, someone that snuck out of the house, a system that wasn't designed to particularly look out for my best interest or take care of me or make sure that they are doing the right thing. Again, I'm not creating these videos to punish nobody. I'm not creating these videos to put nobody down, hurt nobody. I'm not creating these videos to antagonize anyone. I'm putting these videos out because the truth must be known. I'm putting these videos out because it's healing in the truth. I'm putting these videos out because I want to see a change, of course, when it comes to prosecutors and the way they prosecute people. I want to see a change, of course, how people are sentenced. I want to see a change, of course, how people represent their clients, regardless if they have enough money to pay them what they need, regardless if they don't have no money to pay them at all and the state's paying them, regardless if they're a public defender or a court appointed. I just want justice. I'm tired of going through this. I've been going through this case now for over 20 years, and the deal that I signed was a maximum misdemeanor up to 2 years that I shouldn't even have signed for. But yet, I signed that plea deal to avoid 15 years in prison. I signed that plea deal to avoid maximum punishment, looking for leniency on a case that I shouldn't even have been in the courtroom for. But it's easy to trick a 17-year-old into signing something in order to avoid time. I did that. But now, when is this going to be over? I don't want to carry this to my grave. So again, I'm not making these videos to put anybody down. I just want what's right to happen. And what's right is for me to be removed off the system. I want the other party to actually speak up. At the time, they said that she couldn't really talk because she was a minor and we was a year and 4 months apart. They considered me grown even though I was 17 and we're a year and 4 months apart. They pretty much let her mom do all the talking and all the regulating, and now she's grown. I think she need to come forward, but yet she won't come forward because of the embarrassment. And it's not about that. I just want to be free, and this is the purpose for my videos. So thank you for watching my YouTube channel. I know everybody's not going to agree with me. I know everybody's not going to sit here and pay attention to everything I'm talking about, and they just going to hear the label and call me all type of names and want to put me in a hole and shoot me and kill me with the rest of people with labels like me. I know people going to try to get these videos taken down, you know, because of the things that I'm talking about, but in reality, we need to pay attention to reality, because that's the only way we're going to fix real problems with real solutions. And this is a real problem. People going and getting caught up in the system, you know, because of a lie, because people are afraid to say sorry, or because people are afraid to own up and have accountability to their mistakes. I just want to be free. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on my next YouTube video, and we will be going over all the charges that they was looking at charging me because of this. And again, this is only half of the story. This is my story. My story with courtroom dockets. But in order to get the full story, I suggest you talk to the other party that was involved. Thank you for watching.